If you looked into C6 a couple months ago, we invite you to look at C6 again.
Big updates from C6 Ceramics.
Hi, I'm Ivan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm John.
And this is DIY Detail. Today's podcast, we're going to go over what's happening at C6 Ceramics. We've been a little quiet on social media, and there's a reason we're sort of rebuilding, or not rebuilding, but structuring. And one of those things, and we're very pleased to announce, is we now have paint protection film. Like everything else in the C6 line, it's all made in the USA. So the PPF is made in the USA. We have matte, we have gloss, we have all the sizes you need, and it's now available. John, take it away.
Absolutely. So with our PPF, it is going to be a US made product. Like Ivan was saying, we do have a matte and a gloss. Both of those are going to be extremely competitive priced. It's a product for those people that are currently doing PPF and are looking to have a extremely competitive priced product with great results and easy to use applications.
Yeah,
John,
I've got the C6 PPF on my vehicle. You have it on yours, John. And, so far so good. It's performing well. The finish of it is identical to OEM, meaning that there's no more or less orange peel than what we started with. So you can't tell where there is PPF and where there isn't PPF, which to me is the most important part of a good PPF, is not knowing it's there.
John, folks may not realize this, like, you're not a part-time, face of C6 who then details on the side. Like, your full-time job is to support installers. So, like, what do you want to talk about?
Yeah, exactly. So mostly what I'm doing is I'm talking to new installers. So if you fill out the application on the website, you'll get a link to schedule an appointment with me where we can go over all the products and answer any questions you may have about our products. But then the rest of the time, I'm maintaining relationships with those installers and making sure that they're succeeding using our products. So if you have questions about unique situations that may arise when installing the ceramic coatings or the PPFs or anything like that, you can reach out directly to me and I'm happy to answer any questions pretty much at any time during the day. I do have sort of a work window for scheduling those calls for new installers, but then outside of that, if my phone rings, I try to answer it whenever I hear it or answer it. Any text messages I get, emails, that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm fully available for professionals or our installers to reach out to me for any help that they may need with our products.
Well, and folks may see the C6 behind my head, there it is, the C6, in our studio, right? But they may not know a whole lot about it. Ivan or John, do you want to just talk about what C6 Ceramics is?
So C6 is the professional arm of DIY Detail. It's professional-only products, so you have to apply. There's no minimum buy-in. There's no monthly cost to be part of the C6 network, but we just want to ensure that we have dedicated business owners that are insured, licensed, everything. So it's all above board. For the end user that's having C6 installed by an installer, they want to know, and we want to know, that it's being done by someone that's reputable. That being said, C6 is sort of by design, one of the simplest and easiest coatings to apply. And for the PPF, it'll be the same thing. Very easy to apply, very easy to work with. We don't have software and we don't have training. This is for established shops that are just looking for a US made alternative PPF that works well, isn't overly expensive, and works or does what it needs to do. So we're not a PPF company. We're not going after any large PPF companies in that sense. But it's for the established installer that knows what they're doing. They know what PPF can do for their business. They know what they can do for PPF, and marrying that together within the C6 network.
Absolutely. And the other thing is with the ceramic coating section, the ceramic coatings are going to be developed on the foundation of the DIY detail coatings. So there's a lot of similarities between the two, meaning the application, that closed cell foam applicator for applying the coating, the flash time. So you'll see the oil slick, the rainbowing appearance with the ceramic coating, the self-leveling. Those are all things that are going to be very similar with the coatings, where that difference is actually going to be the performance of the ceramic coatings. So the hydrophobics, the gloss, the durability, these are all things that are going to make the professional product stand above the DIY detail products.
Yeah, and Nick, just for your own knowledge, if you get a high spot with C6, it's a lot more work to get rid of with DIY, and that's why we're not selling it to everyone, because again, when you do get a high spot, you're not going to be a happy camper. It involves repolishing the whole panel, not just a section, and going after it. So that is one of the reasons it's a professional only product.
When
But
did I become High Spot McGee, Evan?
actually, it's Eddie Cologne that named you that from our
Okay.
friends over at Thor.
Gosh.
Yeah,
We were doing a coating at his place, and I left a few high spots. I said, let's wrap it up here. We're good.
yeah, and that was on your own car
It was
too.
my old car.
Yeah,
Again, it's
gosh.
proof that it's coated. It's proof that it's coated. You know, like the handprint on the on the hood.
yeah. Yeah, you know that it's been coated because you can point to the high spots and say, look, they're still here.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah,
Exactly.
so
No, but I did want to ask, if you've never installed PPF, like what would you want someone out there who might be considering C6 ceramics, or like maybe I'm a detailer and I want to get into PPF, like what do you got for them?
So I did do a training with our manufacturers down in Houston, Texas, to learn a little bit more about PPF, because with my business, I never used that product. And similar to how when I started with C6, I wanted to experience these products on my own. So I requested some of the products to install the ceramic coatings on my own vehicles, on my friends' vehicles, and maintain those to see how it's performing. With the PPF, I wanted to ensure that I understood how it worked and how to install it so I can answer questions for those professionals that are using the products. And it is a lot harder than I originally imagined. You see the videos online on social media of people using PPF, and I just assumed like, oh, I can do that. Like you just put some soapy water on there, slap down the PPF, cut it, you're good. It's a lot more than that. It does take a lot of practice and repetition to be a proficient installer of PPF. So it is a big step, especially with it being a kind of high price buy-in to get the products. And if you fail, that's a huge piece of material. If you're doing a hood and you don't do well, it's a huge piece of material that's wasted. But once you do get some experience using it, it does make sense how you're supposed to use it. And the application can be a lot easier. One thing that helps with that is getting a plotter to cut out those pieces. We are going to suggest using Core as our plotting tool to cut out the pre-designed kits to put on those vehicles. So we don't have like a dedicated service or anything like that, but that's what we're going to recommend to installers. And that does help quite a bit with installing those pieces of the PPF to those areas of the vehicle. But it does take a lot of it's a large learning curve to pick up PPF, but it is something that provides a lot more than what other products can. So PPF is going to be that physical protection on those vehicles from rock chips, from scratching. One benefit for me is I have an off-road truck, and having PPF on there is going to help resist those scratches, going through the brush or getting those pinstripes down the vehicle. So it is a larger cost, but with that, you do get better performance with that physical protection. And then as well with C6 ceramics, you can actually apply those ceramic coatings on top of the PPF to add that hydrophobic and that gloss on top of the physical protection.
I was going to ask, is that what we recommend then? If someone, like I said, I just got my dream car, dream truck, whatever, I want to have PPF and a ceramic coating, can you do that?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so you want to apply the PPF first and then the ceramic coating over top. And most people are not getting their whole vehicle PPF. They're getting parts of it. Like for myself, I have the front end done on the vehicle that we pull behind the bus. PPF is holding up great. It's doing a phenomenal job there. But the PPF has a bit of hydrophobics built in. There is a bit of that. But once you've installed the PPF, then you put your C6 Hydro or Diamond over the whole surface. And once again, you can't tell where the PPF is and isn't when it comes to the look, but also from the hydrophobics at that point.
I love it. I love it. Do you
How's the car holding up being towed behind the bus? I know you just did a lot of driving. How's it doing behind the bus?
So far, so good.
Nice.
Yeah, got 1,200 miles, drove through snowstorms, drove through rain, drove through you name it, and
just a couple feet behind the bus.
3 feet behind the bus, yeah. So imagine following a tractor trailer 3 feet behind it. That's what our vehicle goes through on a daily basis.
Well, it seems to me that the detailers who are really making money on vehicles, they've upped their game to ceramic coatings, but also it seems like PPF, vinyl, wraps, like it just feels like the people, it seems like from the outside, the people who are being very profitable in this industry make that step up, Ivan, at some point.
Yeah, so paint protection film is a big ticket item. In the beginning, it's not a big profit item because there's a lot of time invested. Like John mentioned, there's a steep learning curve to it. And getting over that learning curve requires investment. You need to buy a plotter. You need to buy the film itself. The film, it comes in rather large rolls, and those rolls aren't cheap. As an example, it's around $4.50 a square foot for the roll. So, but you're looking at a roll that's 200 square feet. So do the math. It's not, it's $899 for a 24-inch by 100-foot roll. That is an expense. You have the plotter that you can buy them used, you can buy them new, anywhere between $3,000 and $8,000, somewhere in there. Then you have that time, and that time investment, like John said, it's not just throwing soapy water and stretching the film out. There's a lot more to installing film than that. I can install film, and I'm not the one that installed it on my vehicle. I had someone else do it because they're well past that learning curve. I'm not.
You replace vehicles like every year, it seems like. So
yeah,
you don't even have that high of emotional attachment to your car, and you had someone else apply the film.
Yeah, because I know I can do it, but I don't have the time to do it. And that is something that if you're looking at getting into PPF, know that, the people that are online saying, oh, this was a $3,000 job and this was a $5,000 job. Yes, it was. But at the same time, there's a lot involved in getting that $3,000 and that $5,000 job. We're not saying, don't buy PPF and don't install PPF. Definitely not. That's why we're selling PPF. But at the same time, it's not something you can get into overnight like ceramic coatings. Ceramic coatings, if you know how to prep, polish, wash a car, the ceramic coating step is not a big step to go into. Whereas PPF, there's investment involved. There's, shop constraints. You can't do it outside, or you can, but your results are not going to be great. But you have to have as much of a dust-free environment as you can get. So there's a lot of constraints with installing PPF. Whereas with the C6 coatings, mobile detailers can install them. They can install them outside. It doesn't matter. 1 hour after the coating's installed, it can get rained on. Not a big deal. With the PPF, it can get rained on quickly as well. But if the neighbor's gardener is out there with a leaf blower, you're not going to be enjoying your day installing PPF.
Yeah.
And every piece that you scrap is scrap. It's, it's not just a couple drops of coating here. If you're doing a hood like John has a Raptor, the hood is 5 feet by 5 feet roughly.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So you're looking at, 25 square feet at $4.50 a square foot. That adds up quickly. And those are things.
And that's just material, not actual time. I mean, that's just the material out of there.
Yeah. So that's just your material cost. So again, PPF is not for the lighthearted. It's something you have to do with intention. It's something you have to know that for the first couple months, it might be costing you money to put PPF on a customer's car. And if you're willing to accept that, then yeah, move forward. And we're not offering training. There's a lot of great training programs out there from independents, not just company-based people, but independent trainers that do a great job. So go for it. If you want to do it, look into it. We're here to help. We're here to guide. And that's what we do at C6. I also, C6 installers have access to me for business coaching as well. That's included as being a C6 installer. So we're doing our best to make sure C6 installers are entrepreneurs first and foremost.
So you're telling me that if I'm someone out there who is a professional detailer, I don't have a cost to get in, I get access to Ivan for business coaching, and the products are amazing.
Yeah.
And a network of other installers. So you can join our Facebook page after becoming approved. That's a whole network of people that are using and continue to use the products. Share work, just have discussion with other people, not publicly. So it's just on the professional side. So there's a lot of resources for those professionals to excel with our products.
Totally.
Yeah.
I think having a community of people is super important.
Yeah, not a competition. It's a community. And then to add sort of onto the PPF a little bit, one thing I noticed was during the training that they were doing a lot of either half hoods or like quarter hoods. Now that's something that doesn't take as much material, but you can bang out a couple of those in a day if you have them signed up. So you may not be, if you're using PPF, you may not be doing entire vehicle wraps. I mean, like Ivan said, most people aren't doing that. But if you get 4 or 5 of those half hoods, That's something that you can get done in one day when you're being proficient or, have a little bit of help. And that's something that can be anywhere from $1,200 a vehicle. And if you're getting a couple of those done a day, you really turn around that initial investment with those products to have a profit of using the PPF for your business.
Yeah, a lot of people that start doing PPF, they're imagining doing, a full PPF on a Corvette or a Ferrari or something like that. That isn't the biggest part of the market. Like John, you mentioned, partials. I'm not a fan of a partial hood myself just because of that line. But, doing front ends, doing track packs, things like that. Those are things that people can get into a little easier. And, the patterns are all there in core. So it's very easy to cut it out. My vehicle, it's a 2025. So it's a brand new vehicle. All the patterns were already in the core software. There wasn't an issue with that. But again, when you're looking at it from a business perspective, start off doing smaller things like, front ends, etc. Because when you're doing that full wrap, that's when you're getting into, oh, I just screwed up a whole door or a whole quarter panel. Because the patterns they're there, they exist, but it requires a little more finesse to do that. I don't know if you did your whole truck, John, or just the front end.
Yeah. And I mean, I started with the hood, and the Raptor hood has two big sort of cowls on it and they go down, and it was a pre-cut design. I had someone local cut it out for me. They were very nice of them to do that for me, but that was not a place to start. That is a very difficult hood to get done. So like you're saying, it does take some experience understanding where it can stretch and where the lines meet up and that sort of thing. Another benefit of Core, I mean, this is going to go along with any of the plotting softwares, but you can modify those kits. So if you wanted to add a little bit more of a lip to be able to wrap that product around the edges, so you're not seeing any of those seam lines or anything like that. That's one thing that you can a little bit more on the higher end level of installing those PPFs is pick up how to modify those kits to fit you and your installing situations a little bit better.
What about these coatings? I feel like we're not talking about C6 Hydro like we used to. And I'm just like, people are like wondering what happened to C6. We haven't been shouting it from the rooftops that much, Ivan.
We haven't been shouting it from the rooftops. For us, sales are going well. The installer network is growing daily, and not just in the US. We have installers in Canada. We have installers in Australia, all over Europe and the UK. We have some in the Philippines as well. So we have installers, and soon in Japan.
Australia
meaning that
as
we're,
well.
Yeah, Australia, definitely.
Yeah.
Chile as well. So, we're getting to different continents. We're getting there. With C6 ceramics, you don't get a lot of hype, and you don't get a lot of people, and you've seen it before. You go on any Facebook group and you get the question, I'm tired of this brand of ceramic coating. I want to change to another brand. And you'll have people from all sorts of that use different brands of coating. Oh, use this one, use this one, use this one. You rarely see anyone saying use C6, and the reason is they're too busy working. First of all, they're not on those Facebook groups, and they're just happy with the product. We haven't created a fanboy mentality, and we've created an entrepreneurial base with people that are entrepreneurs, that are business owners, that want to satisfy the customers. They're not worried about satisfying someone else online. And that's not our goal. Yes, it would be cool to say we have 5,000 installers, and we're actually, not far off, but it's getting there. But the point being, we don't encourage our installers to go online and say, oh, you have to use C6. We're not a fanboy based company. We're actual products that work, that do the job, that are simple to use, that help drive profits for businesses. And for the end user, they're getting a great product.
And to add on to that, I mean, with C6, we don't want to be the face of the installer's company. So we want those people to grow their own business and be successful with themselves using our product. So, we don't want someone to pick up our product and then put a huge banner outside their shop that says, we're C6. Like, that's not what we're doing. We want to be that product for professionals. So when their clients come to them and say, what's your best product? This is what's being provided is C6 professional line.
Yeah, we're very out front, Ivan and myself, with DIY Detail, the face of this consumer-friendly brand that's good enough for pros. Lots of detailers use it, but I love that C6 is just like, let's just help the professionals make money and like enjoy what they're doing and be profitable and be entrepreneurs. That seems to be the goal. Fun is part of it too, isn't it, Ivan?
Yeah, definitely. And having fun is definitely part of it. The C6, the installation of C6, if you've installed a DIY coating, you pretty much know how to install a C6 coating. We don't offer trainings. We don't have you have to come to this 2-day training to learn how to install the coating. If you need more than 5 minutes training to learn how to install a C6 coating, there's a problem. If you've installed any other coating before, C6 will be easier. And it's one layer, there's no multiple layers. And once it's there 1 hour later, the customer can drive away. We don't want to have to pay a rent in your shop by telling you have to keep it for 24 or 72 hours to cure. No, you're running a business. That square footage that car is taking up needs to be replaced. That car needs to be replaced with another one for you to make money. So if
Easy
it's
to
not
install and yet wicked high spots, as in this is a beefy coating that is easy for pros, so they don't have to stress.
No, exactly. And we have, and this is something that's transferred over to DIY as well, but we have the C6 app. And the adhesion promoter polish is a big part of it. When you're using the C6 adhesion promoter polish, or the app as we like to call it, with the C6 coatings, they're almost self-leveling. They're as close to self-leveling as a coating as we've ever seen, or as I've ever seen. Yeah. And when we coated my Jeep, you saw that it basically disappears into the paint or onto the paint.
Yep.
That's the goal of the system, because when you're a professional, when you're an entrepreneur, you may not be the one installing it. It might be that employee that you hired 2 days ago, and you're giving them a bottle, you're giving them an applicator, you're saying, apply it this way, level it this way, and whatever happens, happens. But with the C6 coatings, even someone that's never applied a coating before can do it. But the caveat there is, if you leave a high spot, you'll need a little more detailing experience to get rid of that high spot.
Perhaps the most famous person with C6 Hydro that I know of, and hopefully there's lots of well-to-do celebrities out there that our professional network have installed coatings on their vehicles. But Pan the Organizer has C6 Hydro, doesn't he, Evan?
Yeah, he's got C6 Hydro on his Porsche. And we have, installers that have installed on every kind of vehicle, whether it be exotics down to daily drivers. And that is the fun part of it is, we're not marketing exclusively to the $100,000 and up car or the $200,000 and up car. They have been done. We have one installer that's in the Nashville area that all he does is exotics, but that's his market. That's what he does. But we have other people that are doing, Nissan Sentras and just regular everyday cars. They're not super expensive cars. So
I love that. It's good enough for the nicest cars, but it'll look great on whatever car you have.
Yep.
You can
Every
have
car
a lot of
deserves a
pride in
ceramic
your
coating.
What's that?
Every car deserves a ceramic coating.
I love that.
Yeah.
Any closing thoughts? I mean, a lot of folks have maybe heard of C6 already, but the PPF is the big announcement, and it's not a world I know a lot about, paint protection film. I never got into that level of installing it. I was always so curious about it, but never took that next step.
Yeah. So PPF definitely, it is a learning curve, but we have a great film made in the USA, and everything at C6 is made in the USA, including our coatings. Even the coating applicator is made in the US. So the C6 app, everything is US made at C6. Same with DIY. There's very few things at DIY that are not made in the USA. And that's because no one manufactures those in the USA. Even if we wanted to, it wouldn't be possible. Or we'd have to set up our own factory, which we're not going to be doing.
We're talking about polishers here, right?
Yeah. Polishers, and the decontamination towel.
Other than that, everything is made in the USA at DIY.
Brushes, they're made in Taiwan. So our brushes are made in Taiwan. decontamination
Our
towels.
Our towels
and
are actually from Korea.
Korea. Yeah. But
Our
the
chemicals are all made in the
yeah, chemicals are
There you go.
all made in the US. And same thing with C6, the chemicals and the film is made in the US. And C6 is continually growing, continually evolving. If you looked into C6 a couple months ago, we invite you to look at C6 again. We've had a slight change in our pricing structure that is advantageous to installers. So again, take a look at C6. Part of this launch was supposed to be a new website. Unfortunately, the IT team, they've run into a couple hurdles, but the new website is coming sooner than later. And with that website, we will have an installer map. So wherever you are in the world, you'll be able to click and find out exactly where your closest installer is. And if there's none close to you and you're a professional detailer, time to do it. But and go on the website. You can fill out a form to have get in contact with John, or simply email John at c6ceramics.com. He's always happy to help, and so am I.
Absolutely.
Final thoughts, John?
I think you covered it. Like I was just going to say, if you're a professional installer and you're looking for a more premium product for your clients, head to the website, fill out the application. We'll get an appointment scheduled where I can answer any of your questions. Even people that are, looking to get into the professional field, if you want to start with a really high-end product, fill out the application. We can have a discussion about some of the steps you need to take to get into the professional field with a higher-end product.
Looking back at my own timeline as a detailer with my own detailing business and then a couple of shops, I would unequivocally say this is the perfect first, step for you. If you haven't gotten into ceramic coating, C6 is an amazing place to land. So, and John, you're a great guy and you offer so much support, and obviously having Ivan's wisdom is priceless. So we appreciate everybody for watching the podcast today.
Yeah. And we'll be blocking out John here for a second. And if you want to learn more about C6 Ceramics, check out this video.
Oh, I believe it's right here.
Somewhere around there.